Maybe it'll give like 2 minutes time. Participants are
Perfect.
still joining. Hi, Sakib, we can start now.
Perfect. Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Again, it's a pleasure to have you today with us in this webinar, where we will be discussing Nigeria e-commerce platforms using data and digital tools that deliver farm input and trade in food commodities. So thanks again for joining us. This would be the 58th webinar and is part of the World Bank's What's Cooking Digital Agriculture Learning series. In this series, we invite innovators through leaders and World Bank task team leaders who are transforming agriculture and food systems using data-driven and digital agriculture. The webinar series is available on our digital agriculture website, and participants might find the link in the bottom of the announcement and on the chat box. Just some few items before we go to the presentation. Please keep your microphones on mute to prevent any background noises. And also there will be a Q&A session after the presentation. So please do not interrupt speakers while they are presenting. You may type in the questions while the speakers are speaking and during the Q&A session in the chat window so that it can be addressed later. We have someone in the team who will collect your questions from the chat box and pass them to the speakers. So just without further ado, let me immediately go to introduce the first speaker. And I have the pleasure to introduce Ibrahim Maigari Ahmadou, who's the co-founder and CEO of the livestock247.com, Nigeria's first online livestock platform. His company, livestock247.com, officially launched in 2018 as an online platform that will enable investors, owners, and farmers of livestock to be ready matched with buyers and consumers of livestock anywhere in Nigeria. In 2019, the company was selected by Africa Moves in Tunisia as one of the 100 most founding CEOs of Sponge Analytics, the Nigeria data analytics firm that invented and developed the animal identification and management solution in partnership with MTV Nigeria, which was the first of its kind in Sub-Saharan Africa, as well as several other startups in Nigeria. Before he started his entrepreneurial journey over a decade ago, Ahmadou has a successful career in the organized private sector, where he was an executive in a manufacturing company, an aviation company, as well as an oil and gas company. In June 2019, he was selected by the US Embassy in Nigeria and sponsored by the US government to attend the Global Entrepreneurship Summit 2019. Currently, Ahmadou lives and works in Lagos, Nigeria, where he leads a team of passionate young men and women building technology platforms. He's passionate about inspiring young African entrepreneurs to establish sustainable businesses, and is a mentor and business coach to many entrepreneurs in Africa. So, Ibrahim, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Shakib. It's an absolute honor and privilege to be here. And thank you for the kind words, and thank you for
maybe just speak a little bit louder. Sorry. Thank you.
I said thank you for the honor, and it's a privilege to be here, Shakib, and thank you for the kind words. It's a privilege for us in Nigeria, for the World Bank Group, to highlight the activities of two companies in our country, and I would like to share experience as at Livestock 247. Not as if it's a done job. It's still a work in progress. Livestock 247, like Shakib rightly said, started 2018, but my presentation has 10 slides and I have 20 minutes. So you bear with me, I will rush through them. And of course, the presentation will be with the organizers, and I'm sure the participants will have an opportunity to go through them. And so it's technology mainstreaming the livestock industry in Nigeria, the Livestock 247 story. And it's a story because it's still a work in progress, like I said. And I would like to, first of all, give a little background on what we were doing before launching Livestock 247, where we mentioned the irritation that led to the inspiration. Around 2013, thereabout, we were so disturbed then by the scourge of cattle rustling in most rural communities in northern Nigeria. And as young men that were in technology then, I was managing a data analytics firm then, and we thought we should do something about that as descendants of farmers and herders, and knowing that Nigeria is not the only country in the world that has pastoral experiences. We looked at models around the world and to see how technology could play a role in really solving that problem. That was the beginning of the scourge that has now become a national crisis, that with attendant derivatives like kidnapping and rural banditry, as we call it. So we discovered the OIE in the quest of the research. That's the World Organization of Animal Health. And we got to know about its protocols regarding animal identification and management, and which basically then was in the global context is to provide farm-to-plate traceability as a deterrent to, as a mitigating tool for animal to human diseases and so on and so forth. So we saw that as an opportunity to create an animal identification system in Nigeria that, first of all, will address the issue of rustling, and of course, internationally will open up the country for exports, because without an active animal identification system in the country, your country will not stand to compete with global best practices in terms of export and stuff. So MTN Nigeria, then of course MTN Nigeria, like we all know, is a big telecommunication outfit. In fact, the MTN group is the largest telecom group in Africa. MTN Nigeria then heard about what we were doing, and we partnered with them around 2015 to develop the animal identification and management system that was launched in 2015 as MTN AIMS. That was a beautiful partnership to the best of our ability, because MTN had the infrastructure and we had the chutzpah of a small startup to drive that. And MTN also brought its goodwill, where we went around the country, because back then we realized as early as possible that to have an animal identification system of that magnitude, there was the need for us to have stakeholder engagements and to develop a system that is bottom up, not top down. So we went around the country, we virtually met with all pastoral associations and organization, traditional rulers, and of course, and we also realized that enforcement was also a key factor to the success of any of such project. So we lobbied for a bill to establish the National Animal Identification and Management Bureau, and I mean the World Bank Group knows how tedious it is to push for bills in an African country like Nigeria. So thank God we had a lot of goodwill from the parliamentarians, and the bill was introduced. By 2017, we had the public hearing, and that was when the realization of pushing the product through the public realm was not too favorable for us, because of the bureaucracy of pushing a bill of that magnitude. And this is a place whereby I think if there's any place that I think the World Bank Group should step in and help us in Nigeria, I think you do a lot if you do help in the policy formulation of such bills. So we pivoted. By 2018, we realized that we had to now create a private sector driven, commercially driven project, and we launched Livestock 247 in November 2018 as Nigeria's first online livestock platform. The whole ambition and vision of Livestock 247 was to serve as a mitigation tool for animal and human disease transmission in Africa as an objective. That's our big objective, to create a platform that will serve as a mitigation tool. So and as a platform, we wanted to facilitate interactions between stakeholders in the value chain. And these stakeholders are basically smallholder farmers. So we aggregated smallholder farmers, we aggregated veterinary professionals, we aggregated merchants from rural livestock markets, we aggregated haulage companies on our platform, some few abattoirs, and we got also involved with some financial organizations that were willing to finance such projects. So our MVP then, our minimal viable product, was of course basically e-commerce. And we got a feedback from the market that I think is a learning curve for most of the participants here. Back then, we realized then that livestock is not smartphone. You can't sell livestock online like you do sell smartphone. Because let me give you an instance. If, for instance, there's a market there's a market somewhere in the north, and this is an opportunity for you also to know that the livestock industry in Nigeria is divided between production and consumption. Production is basically a northern affair, while consumption is a southern affair. So there's high traffic between traders from the south coming to the north to buy livestock and then take them to the south. And we commissioned a project back then. We commissioned a consultant that did a survey to find out the traffic. And we got, in 1 week, we got about 1,458 trucks of the traffic, 1,458 trucks going to the south. This gives you about 48,000 cattle in a week, with a combined value of almost 50 million USD in 1 week. And that was how we realized that this is a massive market that was basically unstructured. And what we're trying to do is to now bring an online platform that will help in reducing the movement up and down. But we realized that, of course, like I said, livestock is no smartphone. So if you really want to go into technology in the livestock business, you need to realize that. We got to know that putting livestock online for somebody to buy may not be as simple as that, because we aggregate livestock owners in the north. For instance, a typical livestock owner will have one cattle that's maybe, let's say, 250 kg, and he has listed it on our platform. And someone in Lagos, for instance, that has the capacity to buy will want to buy. When that person purchases online, it is assumed that we'll just send the money to the livestock farmer that we've aggregated. But most of these farmers, because they are rural and they are not loyal to the brand, we were not investing in inventory. They will definitely look for somebody that will pay them money. And then on collecting the customer's money, and then we will realize that this livestock farmer has sold us his cattle. So we saw the pitfall in that particular model at that time, and then we tweaked a little bit by investing into inventory. We partnered with a lot of financial organizations, and we invested about $1 million USD then in inventory and production, and to now take us to the next level of our evolution in creating feedlots around the country, producing livestock. And then we also realized that, like I was telling some of the colleagues before the starting of that, production is no-brainer. What the rural livestock farmer needs is guaranteed offtake. Without an offtake that is guaranteed, the livestock owner will just be going around and around the cycle. So that is what we did between the years of 2018 to 2019, and it led us to understanding that we cannot be doing everything at the same time, and especially the experience that we had with hello, am I communicating? Is my connection
yes,
okay?
yes, Ibrahim, we can hear you well. Just maybe on time, you still have maybe 7 minutes.
All right, thank you. So I was saying by 2019 to 2020, we were opportune to be selected by the GIZ, and I'm glad that Philip is here. GIZ is the German development organization. We were opportune to be selected by the GIZ, and we were members of their cohort of 2019, and we got to know that we had to now double down on some of the verticals that we've created, and we couldn't be doing almost everything. So by 2019, the relationship with the GIZ exposed us to this realization, and it also led us to realize that we were subject matter experts, and we started giving our services to developmental organizations.
Sorry, Ibrahim, sorry, can I ask Vivek to control well the presentation, because it's kind of difficult to follow the slides. Can you please solve the technical issues? Sorry, Ibrahim.
Sure.
Okay, no problem. Is Vivek here?
Yeah, he's there. I think he's starting the document just to make sure.
Yes. Is my screen visible with the
Yes,
slide?
it's visible. But can you go now by slides? And keep the same size, please. Ibrahim, you can tell us when you want him to stop.
Just go back a little bit, Vivek. Back. So we're here. So okay. I was saying, no, go back. Yeah, right here. So I was saying by 2019, we had to now double down on what works, and courtesy of the GIZ Investment Readiness Program, we were really drilled to understand that we had to concentrate on the few that works. And we realized that by then we had invested a lot into digital assets, and we were creating a lot of buzz online, and we became subject matter experts, and we attracted a lot of international donor-funded projects in Nigeria, like the Aldin project, which is an advanced livestock and dairy development project in Nigeria that's funded internationally. This project gives us footholds in, it's a 5-year project that we are currently, this is the 3rd year. It exposes us to about 15,000 pastoral households. We currently have serviced over 45,000 cattle, and we have footprints in almost 10,000 pastoral households already. And then the SEBI project is also another international funded project promoted by the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And of course, the CELO, which is Community Empowerment and Education of Livestock Owners. All these things, all this project let us to understand the real pain points of rural livestock owners. And of course, the COVID-19 came with its disruption. During the COVID-19, we were just about trying to connect, and our realization that rural livestock owners needed facilitation and easy access to market. And during the COVID lockdown, I mean, fortune smiled at us, and we realized that most of the people that came to our platform then were basically requesting for derivatives of livestock, not livestock, meaning meat. So we launched Livestock 247 during the COVID lockdown, and Livestock 247 so far has done almost about 100,000 USD in revenue. It's just a service that anybody can buy meat online from anywhere in Lagos. So and that needs that simple pivoting or setting up Livestock 247 led us to understand that livestock owners needed guaranteed offtake. Let's go to the next slide, Vivek. Next slide, please. So 2021 to date, I mean, this is what we call, go back a little bit, we've gone full cycle. We realized that we've done, all that we've been doing is upstream. We kind of understood very well the demands and the pain points of the rural livestock farmers. For instance, livestock markets in the country are basically cash-based. So we had to partner with a commercial bank, and we established Livestock Express like a bank for the rural livestock owners. There's a particular market in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, that does about 2 million USD on every market day. And I can tell you that 80% to 85% of the transaction in that livestock market is cash-based. That forced us to create Livestock Express as a product in partnership with a major commercial bank. We launched Livestock Express last year, and then we also launched Hoina. Hoina is actually an opportunity that we saw based on the projects that we are executing on behalf of the donor project, like the Aldim project. It's specific to some certain communities, is specific to some certain livestock in the community. And as veterinary professionals will tell you that herd immunity is very, very important. And we saw an advantage to create verticals. And we launched Hoina as a vertical that will be providing qualitative animal health services to rural livestock owners. And we just launched, we signed up a project with USAID and Mexico, that's the Rural Resilience and Recovery Project that is targeted to the 4 states that was hit by the Boko Haram insurgency: Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, and Gombe in northern Nigeria, in northeastern Nigeria. We are servicing 3,000 women, and in small ruminant owners, we are servicing them with goats, small ruminants, and we're providing them with animal health services, and we are creating bank accounts. That's what we call full cycles. So most of the products that we created in the past now are coming to bear in the communities that we work in. And the big idea, meat bank. This is where we are at the moment. Next slide, Vivek. This is where everything is coming together. The meat bank is a big, fat idea that we think is going to crystallize all the activities that we've done in the previous years.
We can hear you. So, go ahead.
Yeah, the meat bank is what we think is the next big idea. This is our growth stage. And next slide, it's bringing everything together. We've structured the upstream through technology, through deployment of animal health services, through deployment of veterinary professionals in various livestock producing communities in the country. And we've structured the haulage, we structured financing, whereby people now can buy livestock without taking cash to the markets. So what we need to do now is to structure the downstream. What we've done in the past is the upstream. What we're trying to do now with Meatbank is the downstream. Meatbank is a product that seeks to strengthen the activities of the livestock and red meat value chain through the provision of financing, capacity building, veterinary supervision, and cold room services to butchers, hotels, restaurants, and bulk customers. The big bank has the following features. I mean, we are providing financing to verified butchers. We are starting a pilot in 3 states: Lagos, Edo, and Kaduna in north, and Kaduna in northwest, Edo in south, and Lagos, of course, the big consumption market. And we're also going to supply meat on credit to registered hotels, restaurants, and eateries. And now we're also going to deploy solar-powered, IoT-enabled cold room at abattoirs and other strategic locations. This is important in the sense that butchers for the first time will have an opportunity to buy livestock from the pipeline that we've created. Livestock that have been veterinary certified to be fit for slaughter, and there's going to be technologically driven. And of course, the solar-powered cold rooms As solar power, they are not reliant on the national grid, so it's 24 hours preservation. This is one of the problems that we realize at the downstream, that it's creating so much unhealthy practices that leads to zoonotic diseases, and it's our way of advancing the one health concept. So the meat bank will enable people to deposit, to withdraw, and to transfer meat at a click via a smartphone. We assume that the same way that you open an account to deposit money, to withdraw money, in the future, in the very near future, with the meat bank, people can deposit meat and buy meat and transfer meat via their smartphones. And of course, last slide, please. This is our growth stage, and we're expecting partners to provide us with the necessary expertise, partners with the World Bank Group. It's so surreal that I'm talking about the Mid Bank at the World Bank Summit. So it's going to be really a blast if we see the crystallization of the idea of the Mid Bank as a result of the facilitation of the World Bank. So we are expecting support in terms of policies, in terms of infrastructure investment, in terms of mechanized abattoirs. Most of the abattoirs that we've aggregated are semi-mechanized. We're expecting support in terms of digital prosperity, creating digital prosperity to these livestock owners. And of course, funding as we scale our operations to other African countries. We believe this experience is highly scalable. It's highly replicable in most African countries, and of course in the MENA region. This is what I have to present, and I thank you very much for listening to us. And we are Everything Livestock, and you can visit us on livestock247.com. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Shakib, for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for this exciting presentation. Clearly, excellent development, especially in a very difficult sector. So it's really great to see that. And I'm pleased to share with you that the bank just recently approved a 500 million loan to Nigeria for the livestock sector. And traceability, digital technology are part of the investment that we foresee under this operation, including also rehabilitation, upgrading of the abattoirs. So clearly linking with you, it's timely, and thanks again for this excellent presentation. Without further ado, let me move to the next speaker, and I have the pleasure to introduce Ahmed Ayode Oyudotun, who is the co-founder and CEO of Afrimash. He's a social and digital entrepreneur who is passionate about agriculture, technology, and their impact in Africa. His company, Afrimash, is Nigeria's leading agri-tech platform, using e-commerce technology to cut out inefficiencies in the farm input supply chain and ultimately make agriculture convenient for everyone. The establishment has redefined agriculture and the shopping experience for over 10,000 farmers within Nigeria and beyond, with about 3,000 different inputs. So Ahmed, over to you. And you are on mute, Ahmed.
Thank you. I just thought I was on mute. Thank you very much. Yes.
Just let's just wait for, okay, go ahead, thanks.
Okay, all right. Good day, everyone. I'm very nice to be here. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Special thanks to all the World Bank team. Thank you for this opportunity to present Afrimash to you. And thank you very much for everybody who is attending. Thank you for listening to us and for learning from the Afrimash experience. First, before I start my presentation, I'd like to say that really super excited about what Livestock 247 Ibrahim is doing. And Afrimash also will be partnering with the Mid-Bank project going forward. And we have been partners before now, actually, but we'll be partnering going forward. So, all right. So my name is Ayo Oyudotun. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Afrimash. What we do is to connect farmers to inputs efficiently. And an easy way for you to understand what we do at Afrimash is for you to imagine a world, or imagine Africa, where we have millions of farmers, small and medium-sized farmers, having access to quality and modern inputs at the tap of a button. Imagine a situation where a farmer can place order for whatever inputs that he needs, either through a USSD code or from a nearby agent within his locality, or by calling our shopping assistant on their mobile phones, even if they don't have internet access, or by visiting our website directly. Another way to look at what we do at Afrimash is to think of Amazon or Jumia or AliExpress, who services farmers, whose customers are farmers. Farmers can go to them to buy all kinds of inputs, including equipment, livestock like day-old chicks, juveniles as fish, battery cages, and all kinds of farm input, chemicals, medicine, and all things that farmers need. That is our dream at Afrimash, and that is precisely what we are building. Now, for me, I came to this realization that we need this platform in 2015 when I was forced to shut down my farm. Like many farmers in Nigeria and in Africa, I was faced with the same problem of difficulty accessing farm inputs. Farm work itself is very hard work, and I believe everybody here agrees with me that farm work is a lot of hard work. Having difficulty accessing farm inputs to be profitable and successful is kind of unfair for the farmer, adding on top of the hard work that they go through every day. For me as a farmer in 2015, when I was faced with a disease outbreak on my farm, I searched everywhere for quality input, for the right medicine to tackle disease outbreak on the farm, and I could not find it. I was forced in 2015, when I began to lose my working capital, I was forced to shut down the farm all of a sudden. Between 2015 and 2016, I and my co-founder began to think about what can we do to solve this problem that has suddenly shut down the farm that we have been able to build in the last 3 years. And after about 12 months of back and forth, we came upon a solution that really works, and that's really what I'm going to discuss with you today. The solution that we developed at Afrimash and that works for farmers in Nigeria. And that is a multi-channel digital platform that enables farmers to access inputs and also access advisory at the same time. Now, why this is important for us, or for farmers particularly, is that farmers may or may not have internet access. Unlike the customers of Amazon, AliExpress, or Jumia, who have internet access, the people that we serve sometimes have internet access, sometimes they don't have internet access. Sometimes when they purchase items that can help them to improve their farms, sometimes they even need a bit of hand-holding, they need a bit of advisory. So we had to build a platform that gives them several channels to access what they need, to access the products that they need to run a smooth, profitable, and productive farm. If they become more productive on their farm, they can be more profitable. And at the same time, we also had to use these various channels to also provide a bit of advisory and extension services to them. Now, for the past couple of years, farmers have accessed Afrimash mainly through our web platform that can be accessed through a mobile phone and through phone calls to our shopping assistants. Quite a number of farmers that don't have internet access are able to call our trained shopping assistant on the phone. The trained shopping assistant places orders for the farmers, and then we deliver to the farmer anywhere they are across Nigeria. For farmers that have internet access, they can directly go to our platform using their mobile phones, which is mobile friendly, and place their orders, and then we deliver to them anywhere they are across Nigeria. Now, coming back to some of the things that we have learned, in the last 1 year, or since towards the end of last year until date, through support from GIZ and USAID, we began to develop a structured agent network across Nigeria. Previously, we had some customers who were agents buying from us and supplying multiple farmers within their community. When we noticed that trend among some of our farmers, we realized that it was important to set up a structured agent network that allows farmers to be able to buy inputs that they need from agents that are nearby to them within their locality. These agents for them are more like a one-stop shop for the farmers. The agents are able to access our platform through a mobile app where they can access thousands of products that we have already listed on our platform. The second solution that we began to deploy early this year through support from USAID and GIZ is a USSD platform for farmers that don't have internet access at all, so that they can place orders for the items that they need directly from our platform without interfacing with anybody and without a need for internet access. Since 2016 that we started doing this, currently we have over 700 verified suppliers of quality farm inputs listed on our platform. These 700 suppliers have more than 3,000 different inputs, both in the livestock category and in the crop category. We have done more than 10,000 transactions worth more than $2 million US. We have delivered more than 600,000 items to farmers across virtually every state in Nigeria. And I can say also that we have more than 30 direct jobs. These are jobs for graduates and professionals who provide support for farmers in different ways. Now, looking at our trajectory in the last couple of years, in the first 5 years, between 2016 and 2020, we spent most of our time developing our product, ensuring the product market fits, ensuring that we develop something that is satisfactory for the market. We wanted to be sure that whatever we are developing is good for the market. But since 2021, that is last year, we began to really focus on systematizing our products, developing product processes and structures to enable us to scale to other African countries. So last year in 2021, we brought in quite a number of specialists, and then we also brought in quite a number of consultants to help us to develop, to build what we have developed from what it is right now into things that can be scaled easily to other countries. And from this year, 2022 already, we are looking to scale what we have done to, first of all, Ghana, which is close to us where we are, and then subsequently we can scale what we are doing to other countries across Africa. So I'll just quickly talk about some ongoing projects that we are working on, in addition to, like Ibrahim said, having spent a lot of time building this solution and working in our market, from time to time, we realize that there are other critical success factors that we need to build into our program. For Ibrahim, it was Meat Bank, but for us, two things: the agent network projects and then agro-logistic projects. The agent network project is what I mentioned earlier, that through support from GIZ and USAID, we are deploying agents across 16 states in Nigeria, out of 36 states in Nigeria. And we're also deploying a customer USSD code for customers that do not have internet access. So through the agents system, what happens is that our agents are resident in farmers' community. We put a mobile phone in their hand. They can also place orders through the USSD. We put a mobile application, not a mobile phone now, a mobile application in their hand. With the mobile application, they can place orders for farmers within their locality one. They can generate commissions from sales to farmers within their community. What this does is that for our own end consumers as our farmers, they have access to a one-stop shop nearby them where they can get whatever they need. This is better than the brick and mortar stores that they normally buy from, that probably has 100 products or 200 or 500 products at most in their store. With an agent with a one-stop shop with thousands of products, they can get everything that they need from that agent. That is one. And then secondly, this also helps to reduce unemployment in the society, as we list or we bring on board young people in those rural areas as agents for us. This also helps to end poverty. These are some of the benefits of this. One other thing I should mention for the agent application is that our agent application also our drive for scale using both the agent application and the customer USSD code also gives farmers access to a bank account. That is digital inclusion, financial inclusion for farmers. Any farmer who registers via any of these channels on our platform immediately gets a bank account that they can use to transact, because like Ibrahim also said, most farmers deal in cash, and we had to build financial inclusion into our system to enable farmers to be able to access our service. Once they place order on this platform, it hits our Afrima support system, And once it gets to us, we're able to deliver to them anywhere they are across Nigeria. The second project that we are currently working on is agro-logistics projects to deliver farm items to farmers across Nigeria. We are setting up 180 pickup centers across every location, every state in Nigeria. We are also setting up 6 fulfillment hubs in the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. This is all to help us ensure last mile delivery to farmers. And why do we need to ensure last mile delivery to farmers? Currently, we deliver items. We have delivered over 600,000 items to farmers, and we have delivered them through third-party delivery networks. Some of them are not suited for live items like day-old chicks, fish, and seedlings that are already growing. But we have managed over the last couple of years to still be able to deliver these items to farmers. But we have seen that a critical success factor for us as we expand Afrimash is to have a strong logistic network, just like Jumia or Amazon or AliExpress. And we have recently embarked on this project in this quarter. Those are 2 major projects that we are currently working on and would be very much in need of support from across the world to be able to make this project a huge success. Here is a cross-section of some of our team. Above at the top, you see our advisors. These advisors are completely volunteer advisors. They are not paid either in cash or in stock options at the moment. They completely volunteer for us since last year to help us make the dream of making agriculture convenient for everyone a reality. They have a combined experience of more than 80 years in technology, marketing, and digital agriculture. At the bottom, you see me and my co-founder and some of the consultants that we brought on board towards the end of last year to enable us to systematize everything that we do and then be prepared to scale our product across the rest of the African countries. And then here we have some of the people that have supported us over the last couple of years. This is not exhaustive. I just picked out a couple of them. So we have enjoyed support from USAID, GIZ, Tony and Melly Foundation, Ventures Platform, CTA, and Innovation Hub to help us get to the point that we are at the moment. Before I close, I just want to mention that we want to show our support to something that I saw in the report on scaling disruptive agricultural technologies written by Kim, Pamesh, and the rest of the World Bank team, that the world needs a food system that can feed every person, every day, everywhere with a nutritious and affordable diet, delivered in a climate-smart, sustainable way. That is the exact quote in that report. And Afrimash wants to achieve this, and that's why we have made our mission to make agriculture convenient for everyone. I'd like to invite everybody here, the World Bank team, everybody that is listening from anywhere you are across the world, that be a part of our success story. We need your support, we need partnership, and we also need you to introduce us to people that can support us and partner with us and also fund us. So please come and be a part of this growing team and be a part of our success story. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Ahmed, for this presentation and the ending of the quote, really needed now, growing food more in a more sustainable way, given all the climate changes that we are facing all around the world. So thanks again for this excellent presentation. And given the time limitation, I will go to the next speaker. And let me introduce Philippe de Tomborn, who's an advisor at GIZ, working on scaling digital agriculture innovation through startups across Africa. In his role, he's visiting startups locally, creates connections to partners and investors, and leads the community efforts of GIZ CIS. Previous to his role at GIZ, Philippe has 10+ years of experience in startup ecosystems around the globe. He has consulted and mentored over 500 entrepreneurs from over 50 countries and worked on dozens of innovation and entrepreneurial projects. He has delivered projects in 20+ countries with clients ranging from organizations like UN Women, GIZ, Goethe Institute, or the World Expo to corporate like BMW, H&M, Axel Springer, or Deutsche Telekom. He has lived in Germany, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Spain, France, Brazil, and he's fluent in German, English, Spanish, and French. So, Philip, the floor is yours.
Shakib, thank you so much. And yeah, hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's a great pleasure to just be with Afrimesh and with Livestock 247, two startups which we supported along the way in their early years. And so yeah, it's a great pleasure to be here and just tell a little bit about our perspective from GIZ, how we look maybe at the ecosystem and look at those two startups in particular. And I'm looking forward to the discussion afterwards as well. On this slide, I only have one slide, and here I summarized a little bit the takeaways about our size program for you later on. But maybe leading up to that, just explaining our logic as a GIZ a little bit. So as Dr. Aryo already mentioned, we are the German Development Agency, as many of you know probably. And for us, two of the main goals that we're working towards is economic development, especially on the African continent, and also food security. And I mean, we all know the agricultural sector is at the heart of many economies on the African continent, especially in Nigeria as well, being the largest economy on the continent. So this is for us a key sector to work with. And we know that the sector has a lot of challenges, which we heard also in many other webinars of the series. And we believe that startups are the best type of organizations, are the best equipped to tackle those challenges in an effective and a quick way, an agile way. Of course, in order to bring scale into change, we have to collaborate in ecosystems, but we believe that really bringing innovations to the market, that startups are very well equipped to do that. So that maybe is just as the logic why we are focusing on working with individual startups as GIZ. There are many other initiatives as part of GIZ, of course, working in agriculture, but our project size is concentrating on startups. And then for startups, especially on the African continent, we also see a lot of systemic challenges in many countries. Startup is not even defined by legislation, so there are startup acts being created to just define what it is, to differentiate it from an SME, for example. So we believe that there is quite an intense support needed for individuals to grow their companies. And we don't work in the very early stage to create ideas, but we work with organizations who have already a product on the market. And yeah, maybe to just say a little bit, numbers that you're seeing here. So we have been around for only a few years. So we started our project in 2019, and Livestock 247 was actually part of our first cohort. By now, we have either finished or are working with like 5 programs in total, as you can see, across 18 countries, across Africa, and Nigeria being the most important one, let's say, with the highest numbers. So as we said, Nigeria has the highest GDP on the country, the biggest on the continent, the biggest population, and also a very dynamic startup ecosystem. So we've seen last year, for example, of the 4.3 billion of venture capital being invested into startups on the continent, over 30% went into Nigeria. Then maybe on the other side, just you can see that we are sector agnostic. So we're working with startups across all different sectors, and you can see fintech being also with us one of the most important sectors that we're working with. So we don't only work with solutions for farmers, but really across the whole value chain. And as we heard from both Dr. Ayo and Ibrahim, that financial inclusion is actually an important part, which both of them also included into their offerings. And we see that e-commerce is on number 2. So that maybe just as an overview of what we've done so far. We also this year launched 2 new programs. A Francophone program, because we also saw that the Francophone in Francophone Africa, the ecosystem is either further back than the Anglophone, than in the Anglophone countries. So we feel that there is a place for an organization like GIZ to step in and to support, to also build that ecosystem. And the same goes for the livestock sector. So we also learned that livestock farming brings additional challenges, as we heard from Ibrahim before. Also, I like his very dynamic approach, how he looked at the challenges that he faced as an organization and started to pivot and build new solutions for that. So we're working with livestock and Francophone. And yeah, I think just what I want to, as a conversation starter, I want to invite you to ask us questions, which role we can play in different ecosystems that you might be active in. Again, I think that both Livestock 247 and AfriMesh have done a tremendous job to develop their platform business models over the last years. I'm very excited about the meat bank concept, which we already saw in the chat as well, that there has been some discussions going on about legislation behind that. How is that possible? Does it really? I think it has the potential to change the way how meat is bought and stored in Nigeria. And then on the AfriMesh side, as we saw, I think I'm very excited about the agent model that AfriMesh is building up to reach very remote customers that are not digitally connected yet, because I think access is one of the main challenges on the continent. So access to inputs, access to information, access to finance. And I think through the agent model, AfriMesh is really bringing that into, let's say, the width of the country. And yeah, very excited about those two companies, those developments, and looking forward to discussion. I think as an invitation, if you are an investor investing into AgTech and food tech, feel free to reach out to us. If you are a startup that is interested in collaborating with us, in a Q4 of every year, we have our calls for applications on vc4a.com on the platform. We collaborate with them to do the whole application management for us. And yeah, if you are an industry player and feel that there is a good way for us to connect, please reach out. And yeah, thank you very much again to the whole World Bank team for inviting us, and I'm excited to be part of this discussion and this format. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Philip. Good presentation, and thank you for extending the offer to provide more support to the Africa continent. I think that all these innovations are much needed, and support like yours would be most welcome. Without further ado, let me move to the next speaker, and let me present Jihye Kim, who is a senior agriculture economist at the World Bank, where she leads and carries out World Bank mission to client countries, specifically in the Africa region. Jihye managed large-scale, high-impact digital ag project and advises World Bank clients on digitally enabled approaches to increase their agriculture project success in sustainable and scalable way. She also builds relationships with industry leaders, executives, development partners, agri-tech startups, and stakeholders to advance disruptive and digital ag technology initiatives. Prior to joining the World Bank in 2011, Jihye worked at JP Morgan in London, where she built expertise in consulting for the high-tech and telecom sector. Over to you, Jihye.
Thank you, Shakib. Could you confirm you can hear me? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our presenters and our partner in GIZ. Those of you who know me know very well how excited I am whenever I'm talking to CEOs and co-founders and founders of startups. Pramesh and I have been extremely interested in looking at the startups that has been really mushrooming in the last 1 or 2 decades in Africa, so much so that we published a report called Scaling Up Disruptive Agriculture Technologies in Africa back in 2019. Really the ambition we had and vision we had was to figure out what is the ecosystem that enables the creation and acceleration of disruptive agri-tech startups in Africa, and what are the entry points for public policy and public partners role, such as the World Bank. So a lot of the storylines that I hear from these amazing two startups really align with a lot of findings that we have. So in my intervention as a discussant, I just want to share my reflection, share my perspectives, and then ask some questions to further our discussion. So first, Livestock 247, I'm really glad to see livestock startup here. I've been talking also a lot of other livestock startups who really bring next level high tech, which sort of controls the environment for the livestock production. But where you're going with the meat bank downstream and really occupying the place between butchers and restaurants, all these organized buyers, by looking into the cold chain of this supply chain. I think that's an excellent and genius idea. And I would say in this cold, in the space of cold chain, I think you are really trying to drive home the importance of the traceability. I just want to ask you and sort of challenge you to think also how to guarantee the quality, and then convince donors and also venture capitalists and people who are who would be interested in investing in your meat bank to be much more ensured of the quality of meat being transacted through your cold room. So think about more how to market it in a way that it really distinguishes meat packaging and quality of meat that's transacted to all these organized buyers at a higher quality level. That would really distinguish you from other competitors in the downstream business. And I really look forward to receiving more news about how Livestock 247 goes to the growth spurt. For the Afri-Mesh IOS, I hear you saying, you're referring to AliExpress, Jumia, and Amazon. I really think you are in the right place in terms of having this platform of matching the sellers and buyers. And I think how you distinguish your business from Jumia, for example, in Africa, is that you bundle up the advisory and extension service, which is genius also. I think for farmers making input orders, this is sustainable and scalable when you have those agents providing that very close network and business relationships. If I can add one thing and challenge you again with an idea, look into the space of real-time soil testing that other startups are doing for farmers in order to give them a very detailed analysis of the situation of their soil. So it doesn't end there, but they give also customized advisory based on the result of the soil analysis, and they match to the right level and right kind of inputs that farmers would need. So there's no wastage, there's no overflow of, say, fertilizers and sorts of that. So yeah, that's one part that would even further distinguish you from other competitors who are in the marketing platform basis. And your business model also relies a lot on the agent network, and therefore I think having a really good caliber agents are very important. So I would be curious to know what's the profile of these agents are, and how you manage continuing training and quality control, if you will, of the agents, because I think they are one of the most essential element in your business model, assuring the last mile delivery. And that's where your growth will also be, because it's also a high transaction in terms of turnover of staff and things like that. And one other thing that I would I would bring your attention to, in addition to the soil testing element, is look at the projects of development partners where we provide electronic voucher services to farmers to help them to subsidize on their input purchases, and see if your pickup centers, fulfillment hubs, all these last mile delivery across Nigeria, see if you can partner with such interventions as guarantor of providing input to the last mile. And yeah, and I think that would be the a very big place to be. And at the bank, other than that analysis and report that we've done, Ramesh and I co-authored the Scaling Up Disruptive Agriculture Technology report that we can share the link to. We have also operationally and practically piloted ways of working with local agri-tech startups. We have piloted a challenge competition model in Kenya and Uganda, and we look forward to have such challenge competition to bring more agri-tech startups such as yours, and also think about how to onboard you in World Bank financed projects in our operations to have a win-win and win for smallholder farmers, and become the part of your growth success story. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jihe, for this exciting intervention and also question raised, and also solutions additional ideas to challenge the agri entrepreneurs in digital technologies. So let me move now to the last speaker, and let me welcome Yvonne Pinto, who supports the data-driven digital agriculture team of the Food and Agriculture Practice at the World Bank as a lead digital agriculture and innovation specialist. She has 25 years plus experience in agriculture innovation in Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. She has led work to understand the digital agriculture landscapes within 22 African countries, from the policy and enabling environment perspective to the ag-tech innovation and solutions, to accelerators, incubators, and digital skills provider in these countries. For the last 12 years, she has led a Lean Impact Limited, a strategy and impact measurement firm, assessing the effectiveness of innovation and ecosystem in the ag sector. She has focused on identifying what works for whom, and why use data, evidence, and learning to create strategic opportunities for many organizations, including private philanthropic foundation, UN agencies, DFIs, NGOs, etc. So Yvonne, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shakib. I hope that you can hear me. Perfect, thank you. So I'd probably just like to start by saying that I've actually known Livestock 247 and Afrimash for about 3 years. And that comes with the knowledge of having worked in Nigeria for 23 years. And so good understanding of the agriculture sector. Like my colleague Jihe, I'm going to give you a few reactions on the presentations, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I see as a slightly bigger picture, and also mention what World Bank are trying to do to enhance the opportunity for organizations like these to scale their efforts in order to create a greater impact. So in relation to Livestock 247, it's very easy to understand the rationale and the motivation for having got involved, from an animal health focus to build traceability, food safety, and a highly scalable traceability system that in fact could have impact across the entire continent, but also their engagement with two very different kinds of farming communities, those that are pastoralists and those that are sedentary, and also to formalize the opportunities for these producers in a formal livestock marketing and value chain. If we think about the sort of cost benefit of their efforts, if we actually look at human health risks like brucellosis, bovine tuberculosis, salmonella, we're talking about costs in human health around $8.5 to $9 billion. And we're also talking about things like antimicrobial resistance, which is on the rise. So the way that they facilitate their work is very interesting from many countries. Again, the integration of different players in the value chain, smallholder farmers, veterinary scientists, merchants, haulers, abattoirs, and also the integration of financial services has created this very clear marketing access and indeed refinements in the marketing chain, which is quite interesting. Both organizations, AfriMash and Livestock 247, talk about each other as strategic partners. So this vision of being part of an ecosystem, working with additional companies that have complementary skills is something that I think is particularly inspiring. And I think, that backward integration into inventory, things like the provision of inputs in the form of veterinary medicines, vaccines, ensuring feed, looking at sort of production systems is quite compelling. The move to fresh meat, marketing, refrigeration, last mile business to customer type models and logistics included is a very exciting trend. I think certainly for all of us, the pandemic has accelerated that. And I think it plays into changing diets, particularly in urban settings where people are soliciting more meat, more fruit, more vegetable products, and urban consumers are beginning to generate a huge demand for those things. There may indeed be other opportunities for animal-derived products. I'm thinking for industrial purposes like bone meal, skins, gelatin, whatever those might be. In relation to the production system of livestock, I think there are really big questions about to what extent initiatives like Livestock 247, by providing these structured markets, can drive improvements in actual production systems. For example, Nigeria's average beef carcass weighs 103 kilos. A complementary carcass in Kenya weighs 150 kilos. So there's still quite a lot of improvements to build, particularly on the genetic side. A lot of these cattle are indigenous. There's opportunities for better pasture management, feeding, incentives, for example, to herders to restore rangelands as they move through them. And even from the point of view of climate change, things like enteric fermentation, reducing greenhouse gas production, that kind of thing. So I think there's huge opportunities. In turning my attention to AfriMash, the focus on improved inputs, again, puts emphasis on the production system, particularly things like veterinary medicines, vaccines, and things like artificial insemination. But very much like my colleague Jihai, this notion of the advisory part, the extension into the community through the agent network, elements of enhancements such as extension, husbandry practices, feed approaches, ensuring that they receive feedback from farmers to generate farmer satisfaction for their products, but also that AfriMash takes a learning approach to dovetail their opportunities to create resilience in their supply chains, to build on that agent network so they are actually creating value that is decentralized, and also to continue to experiment on different approaches for apps and USSD approaches to farmers and the use of their field and sales agents. Much of this complementary activities, much of this complements their vast array of actual products. So I understand from them also they've even exported to Europe, which is really surprising. So, you know, they really are very resourceful in that way. As I think about both organizations, there are two very clear things that come to mind. The things that they're dealing with, food security and safety, sustainable value chains, climatic impacts, reducing biodiversity loss, active management of natural resources such as land and water. These are things that affect the entire region of West Africa and beyond. And so this opportunity to think about how to enhance their opportunities to scale, to become a part of a broader ecosystem, to actually incentivize other organizations to fill gaps in value chains in other parts of the regional context is, I think, where opportunities lie to look at creating that enabling environment with the right policies, investments in infrastructure, but also creating opportunities to accelerate these businesses, to scale them so that they can grow, they can create opportunities, they can create jobs, they can connect farmers, they can actually start to tie in demand with the production base of supply, and to create an ecosystem where different partners have different value propositions, but they're complementary. So that notion of strategic alliances is really important. And I think there are opportunities not only in the West African region, but beyond. And so I think that the things that place a lot of excitement on webinars such as this one is to think about where leveraging those resources, learning from one another can help to accelerate those things. One of the things I wanted to tell you about that the World Bank are putting a lot of energy and effort into is trying to identify how to integrate some of these opportunities into the operational programs of the World Bank in service of their client countries. And I think this digital acceleration facility that the World Bank is thinking of on the innovation side can also be coupled to something which is really on sharing data. We've talked about human health, we've talked about production, we've talked about animal health, we've talked about marketing, we've talked about employment creation, we've talked about the agriculture system as a whole. The sharing of data to create that ecosystem, the scaling of that ecosystem to regional levels, and the enabling environment around it, as well as the proliferation and encouragement of the development of digital skills, will, I hope, start to see greater impact from examples like this and many more people. So I'm going to stop there and look forward to any questions. Thank you so much, Shakib. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, for bringing these additional ideas and also the bigger picture and the support that you are providing to the region. So with this, we come to the end of the presentation and also the views of some discussions. May I ask now Parmesh for the question that may have come on the chat, and also encourage you just to raise your hand if you have any question, so I can give you the floor. Parmesh?
Thanks a lot, Shakib. And many thanks for both the presenters and the discussants for having a very kind of exciting discussion. We think Nigeria is on the cusp of so many innovations that whatever we invest in should really encapsulate the innovation which is happening in Nigeria on the data and digital front and many other fronts there. So let me paraphrase the questions which are coming in. Some are more clarification questions, which I would urge the panelists to answer in the chat box. But I would just take some substantive, questions. People are asking, and how have you integrated with larger programs like FADAMA, Information Knowledge Services and all, which is a large-scale national program? Why are you building on the existing large platforms like FADAMA, and how can you do that? Because that will allow you to go to scale faster, because there are already farmer organizations and other things there. The second question is that what are the kind of approaches you are using for pastoralist farmers and sedentary farmers? In the livestock, are you distinguishing between the two? Because they are located at different places. So are there any kind of differentiated models you have developed there. And again, the questions are about how do we go to scale? What are the policy initiatives you want to be done with the government, which will give us some input to the World Bank also in terms of what are the policy initiatives to help you scale your approach more. So what is the public good investment required to make this private good, initiatives work better? And finally, I think there is a question about how are you using the tech talent ecosystem in Nigeria, and how are you able to get the talent in Nigeria to run these agriculture startups, and what is the skill part of what you are doing there is there. And then finally, I think people are asking whether you developed it yourself or you have piggybacked on existing platforms. So a lot of questions about how do you go to scale, use the existing platforms and go to scale, and the others are about how do you go to the next level, what are the constraints, and what are the policy things which we need to do. So these are two sets of questions there. Over to you, Shakib.
Thank you so much, Parmej, for collecting these very interesting questions. So let me hand it over first to Ibrahim for first reaction, and then to Ahmed. Ibrahim, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for mentioning Shakira and Yvonne and Jehi for the observations. We've taken note, and I can assure you we are all going to look into most of the things you raised, and some of the things you've mentioned and things that we are working on, but because of the time constraint of the presentation, I was not opportune to open up and go into detail. So to go straight to the questions, someone mentioned how do we plug into programs like the Fadama projects, and the reason why I give our irritation to inspiration slide was basically to stress the frustration that private organizations like ours, and I'm sure IO of AfriMash will have the same experience, do have when it comes to partnering with public sector driven solutions. Ours is a private profit driven approach, and sometimes with all due respect, you tend to find such initiatives too slow, too bureaucratic, and too outdated in their thinking. They're fixated on what they want to do. With all due respect, probably they are constrained by the dictates of the programs and so on and so forth. I'm just being very blunt. So we went through that in the early years of our existence, and we ran away from the public sector so that we develop something that is commercially driven. Per chance, now we can sit down and discuss and show them the importance of what we've done and vis-a-vis what they have as a project. And I believe there's a lot of opportunities for synergy and partnership, like you rightly mentioned. Secondly, there's an interesting question that has to do with how do we now integrate, how do we segment our approaches to pastoralists and sedentary livestock owners? This is a very, very important question, and I would like the participants here to understand that according to the International Livestock Research Institute, Nigeria's national herd, almost 95% of our national herd is under pastoralist ownership. So it's quite massive, at 95%. And another psychology that we need to understand that the nomadic or the pastoralist ownership, the psychology around pastoralist ownership of livestock in Nigeria is not commercial, but ornamental. What I mean by not commercial, but ornamental means they don't own livestock for commercial purposes. They own it for ornamental purposes. It's like an ATM. When the wife is sick, or when the son is going to school, or when they are going for Hajj, and I think it's all over the globe, they take one or two cattle to the nearest livestock markets and they fling it up. So due to the various developmental projects like the Aldim project, like the SEBI project from the University of Edinburgh, we were able to interface one-on-one with pastoralist organizations. Most of these households that I mentioned are pastoralists because they are seasonal. They are being around an area is seasonal. And you also know that their moving around is purely a matter of competition over resources. So, and another thing that I would like the World Bank Group to also know that is the reason why sedentary feedlotting or sedentary ownership or sedentary production of livestock in Nigeria at the moment is not picking up. It's a matter of competition of scale. Let me give you an instance. It takes you about 90 days to fatten a cow to appreciate about 100 kg. And it will give you almost 200,000 now to spend. So if you're going to go for commercial sedentary feedlotting, by the time you spend that much amount of money and take your cow to the market to sell, the 95% of the pastoral ownership that are moving around and eating free food. Remember, nomadic pastoralism is free eating of food. They are not spending anything on development, on production. This same competition comes and meets you in the market, same breed, same weight range, but this guy is selling his much more cheaper than yours because he did not spend a penny in production. So we have a system of meeting these pastoralists in their localities, and we are embedded in their communities. We have community entry strategies that we've embarked upon. Some of them are dairy producers, some of those are beef producers, and we deal with them as the case may be. But for sedentary livestock owners, it's about less than 4%. I told you we invested around 2019. We pumped in almost about $1 million USD into setting up feedlots around the country. But we did not recover much of our investment because of this same problem that I mentioned. After production, you go to the market, an open market with people that are free grazing livestock and in the same market. So that is that. Regarding policies, we need policies tremendously, especially, like I mentioned, especially in the areas of animal identification and management system, because I honestly believe that is the foundation. Whatever you're going to, like Yvonne mentioned, genetics improvement. She mentioned our inability to improve our local breeds to meet up in the carcass weight of our continental baselines. It has a lot to do with poor data, lack of data. So we need the World Bank Group to step up and speak on that level with the Nigerian government and promote. And I'm very happy that you mentioned that a certain amount of 500 million USD has been earmarked and approved for Nigeria. I hope and I believe there's a certain segment of this amount will be dedicated to policy formulation so that we can have a national animal identification and management system, and that will provide a database of types of breed, types of ownership, geography, size, weight, sex, and everything. I think the World Bank Group can play a big role in that context. If you do that for us, it's just plug and play. With a national animal identification system, it means there's farm to place traceability on a national level. Right now, Livestock 247 had to create that infrastructure on a private level. It's only private enthusiasts that are interested in that bit that are patronizing us. But when it becomes a law, it will open up the sector and a lot of players can come in, and it will really, really create a lot of employment. It will create a lot of initiatives. And another thing that the World Bank Group can play a role in, for instance, if we have guaranteed offtake through the various interesting programs of the federal government, there's the school feeding program going on at the moment. There's this program going on, palliatives here and there. If there's a synergy between the World Bank Group and the federal government of Nigeria, whereby, for instance, if this, let's say the school feeding program will be patronizing cattle from feedlots that are approved and are encouraged to be sedentary, that will really drop the pastoral ownership and moving up and down. That it's creating farmer harder crisis, like we all know. If the federal government will invest in that people that set up feedlots will be patronized for the school feeding program, for that program. Dairy farms will be coming up. India did this in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, whereby public school attending pupils in India were given free liters of milk by the government. I think such programs will really jumpstart because it will organize the sector and it will open up guaranteed offtake. Like we all know, without subsidy, the milk production business, it cannot work. There has to be a special subsidy. There has to be some special grant. Right now, the government in Nigeria decided to do a lot of this, but it meets a lot of resistance because of ethnicization of livestock development. Unfortunately, in Nigeria today, two things are bedeviling the development of the sector. One is ethnicization of the livestock sector. So regarding tech talent that someone mentioned, Nigeria is blessed with tremendous talent. And I'm telling you, most of the applications that Livestock 247 and I believe AfriMash are working on are locally developed. We have tremendous youths and talents that are immersed in machine learning, artificial intelligence, some of the things that, it's just a matter of geography. But what you can achieve in the Silicon Valley today, you can achieve in Silicon Savannah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim, for the last statement. And I'm fully confident that Nigeria can drive a lot of innovation and can drive the sector. And in fact, if you are succeeding in the livestock sector, it will be much easier to succeed in other sector. It's not an easy one. And it's true that you brought the conflict of herders and farmers. So bringing this innovation will also be part of bringing a more structured moving forward. So Ahmed, over to you, and if you can give us some light on the questions that were raised by the various participants. Over to you.
Thank you, and good day again, everybody. Let me first start from the last answer that Ibrahim gave, that our tech talent ecosystem in Nigeria, definitely we have very strong tech talent ecosystem in Nigeria. Our platform is locally built, so we have in-house developers who built a platform. Previously, we had we rode on a CMS, but now we have developed our own platform that is able to feed into our USSD application, feed into our agent application, and then the e-commerce engine itself, something that is quite robust and can be scaled to other places. That's what we have built. Now to a couple of questions I noted down as you were talking. And thank you, Yvonne and Kim, Jay, for your contributions. I've taken notes and would review together with the team and take very strong steps. Thank you very much. So what are the major constraints to scale up our approach? What are the enablers and public good investment required to facilitate this? You probably would see in our process of innovation and pivoting that digital literacy is a concern. And that's why immediately we have developed a USSD application and an agent network system to be able to deal with this. What this does again for us is that this also cuts into the profitability of the system that we are doing, which is a bit of a constraint. But how we have evolved to tackle that as a company is to get deeper or steeper discount from our suppliers. So we get steeper discount from our suppliers and then transfer that savings to the agents that connect us with the farmers. Now, something that Kim mentioned that I think is going to be a very strong enabler for us, or in terms of how DFIs or like World Bank can intervene, is like the digital vouchers for last mile farmers. I'm personally going to be reaching out to Kim and to see how we can be involved in that kind of intervention, so that since we have a lot of last mile farmers in our network, we can get digital vouchers so that we can deliver items to them anywhere they are across Nigeria. Another thing that really can be a bit of constraint is extension services for farmers, especially on modern inputs. If you are very familiar with farmers, one thing that is being said about farmers is that once they start using a particular input, they do not want to stop, even if there are modern alternatives and even if there are better alternatives. So it takes extension workers to be able to convince them that this new product will give you a higher productivity than what you currently have. I believe that most of us know that the productivity of farmers in Nigeria and in Africa is less than 40% of their potential, compared with 80% in other parts of the world. And this is part of the reason, because these farmers rely mainly on archaic inputs, things that they have known for a long time. So extension services, which is something that we are achieving right now by working with what we call lead agents. So in our agent network system, we have two categories of agents. We have the lead agents, and then we have the business development agents. The business development agents are the real champions. They are the ones that deal with the farmers on a day-to-day basis. And then the lead agents are the ones that bring together the business development agents and provide all the support that they need. We developed that system so that we can do a sort of like a train-the-trainer model, where we train the lead agents, and then the lead agents are able to train the BDAs, who will now provide all the support that the farmer needs. So that's two. Another huge constraint that we have is agro-logistics. I mentioned that we have just really recently started to build our own logistics for live items. We currently use the informal network. The informal network comes with dissatisfaction from customers. It comes with lack of regulation, and it comes with lack of standardization. And that's something that we are working on. So let me move to the second question. Oh, before that, Tim, Jay asked 2 questions. He said that what is the agent profile that we use? So our typical agent profile is a farm consultant, an agripreneur, or an extension agent. That's the typical profile of an agent that Afrimax typically seeks to work with. An extension agent, a consultant, or an agripreneur. Of course, some of these extension agents need to be trained again to be in tune with the latest and modern agricultural inputs. Then, okay, we train our agents. She also asked about training of our agents. We train our agents through the lead agent, which is a train-the-trainer model. Now, Yvonne asked that how common are supply side challenges, particularly for small livestock? I think that my own example of shutting down my farm is a perfect example of difficulty in accessing medicine, even for livestock. I had a disease outbreak on my poultry farm, and I was looking for just medicine to treat the outbreak. And for months, I could not find the medicine until I began to lose my working capital, and I had to shut down the farm. And this is a problem that is not only common to poultry, it's common to ruminants, cattle, and all kinds of livestock. Another thing that we have typically solved is, for example, some livestock inputs are concentrated in some regions. For example, DO chicks is an input for poultry farmers. Production of DO chicks is concentrated in the southwest Nigeria. So in other parts of Nigeria, like the southeast and then the northwest, if they do not get a structured supply chain, they are more likely to get low quality birds that eventually gives them low productivity on their farms, and they become unprofitable. So what our system does is that we're able to identify where the main production is coming from. We try to partner with the manufacturer or the top distributors so that we can deliver quality items to the farmers. So in terms of supply chain, whether for medicine, equipment, or for DO chicks itself, the supply chain side is very is not properly structured. That's the best way to say that. Then again, as part of the solution that we bring to the supply chain side is a bit of regulation. So because we have a quality control system where we control the kind of suppliers that we bring on the platform, the kind of products that move from our sorting centers and from our warehouse to the farmers are able to get higher quality products than what they would typically get from the informal system that currently exists. So that's part of the things which we think about in the supply side challenges. So how are we building skills in our farmers to handle digital tools? What works and what is scalable? Now, currently, to build skills for farmers, our best shot, which we have recently deployed, is the agent network model that we have developed. One other thing that I think I mentioned earlier, but I think that DFIs and support organizations can do for us is to provide digital literacy for farmers. When I was starting Afrimax a couple of years ago, I had always known that a huge concern for many people is a huge number of farmers don't have internet access. Therefore, this solution is not going to work for farmers. That's the question that a lot of people ask me. But the position that I hold is that if farmers really need to access quality inputs, and this is the best way to give them access to quality inputs, I think it's worth the while for us to slightly accelerate digital literacy for farmers so that we can meet the challenge in food supply that we will face in 2030 and in 2050. Because technology will solve the problem. Technology is what we need to solve the problem. The farmers don't have digital literacy. Can we devote a bit of efforts to accelerate digital literacy, especially among farmers? And as we began to build Afrimax, then we decided that let's meet in the middle. Well, DFIs and several organizations are trying to improve digital literacy for farmers. Let AfriMash also design small technological solutions like USSD that farmers that don't have internet access can use. But generally, I think that when it comes to digital literacy for farmers, it's something that is all of our, we need everybody's support. It's very important for the farmers. It's very necessary for the farmers to access inputs, even for them to be able to sell their produce profitably. This is something that we are also coming to understand as an ecosystem, that farmers need that direct access to off-takers and not people within their locality. So those are the questions I took down.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. This is very detailed answers, and clearly we can see the enthusiasm moving forward with your company and for also supporting the ag sector in Nigeria. So I think we had today excellent presentations. We had also clear enthusiasm to show that we can do it in Africa. We had colleagues also from the bank and from GIZ offering further help to develop innovation and digital technologies in Africa. I mentioned also the recent program that we approved for Nigeria. And in fact, most of our programs now includes components on digital technologies, so we can work with the young entrepreneurs to move up the sector and also bring more youth into agriculture. So with this, I would like to thank you all for your participation. Let me again just give a hand for the two presenters and also for the discussion, for their ideas, and looking forward to more webinars such as those presented today to gain and transfer knowledge to all of us. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon and a good day.